Welcome to my YouTube channel, Emiliano Techs. I am Emiliano, and I love tech. But there's a dark side to technology. No, I'm not talking about toxic chemicals and unsafe working conditions in rare earth element mines in third world countries. No. Something much worse. I'm talking about shovelware. We've all played it. Probably. What is shovelware? It's software designed primarily to make money and or promote some licensed intellectual property with little regard given to function or gameplay. Stuff that's shoveled onto the market for a quick buck. There's plenty of shovelware that isn't video games, but today we're talking about the games, or a game. Some of the common traits of shovelware video games include repetitive gameplay, poor design, repetitive minigames, rushed releases, repetitive platforming, bad programming, unoriginal ideas, badly drawn boys, repetitive art, and boring, repetitive gameplay. Nobody likes to play shovelware. No one expects it to be a hit. It's just something a company does when they want to turn a fast profit. Usually it's made by companies who specialize in crap games and software, but even the big boys make some. Popular shovelware genres include board games, paintball, movie licenses, horses, so many horses, sports, especially hockey, golf, and soccer, I think, party games, racing games, and more. One of the categories in which you'll find the highest percentage of shovelware is kid-focused licensed IP video games. Stuff like Barbie, SpongeBob, Dexter's Lab, Backyardigans, Disney Channel shows, and whatnot turned into games. Traditionally, there's tons of cartoons and kids programming shovelware, because kids will beg parents to buy it, not understanding that it's not going to be a good game. Dumb kids, read a review. Sure, these days we get good licensed IP games like Spider-Man and Batman, and I'm actually so out of touch with the current zeitgeist that I have no idea which movie and show licensed games are decent anymore. But I know there are some. There used to be a lot less. Why don't you leave a comment telling me your favorite licensed IP video games from the past 10 years to increase engagement? Okay, thanks. E.T. for the Atari 2600, released in 1982, the year I was born, is probably the most well-known classic example of crappy licensed shovelware. Sometimes blamed for causing the North American video game crash of 1984, it was more likely just one of many contributing factors. There are plenty of legends and stories and videos surrounding the production and disposal of millions of worthless E.T. game cartridges that I won't get into here. Google it. Hang on, after this video though. But now there's a new category of shovelware. Well, this game is over a decade old, but new to my awareness. Reality TV! And today we'll be talking about The Bachelor The Videogame. I'll give the game a score from 1 to 5 shovels, with 5 being the best and 1 being the worst. Additionally, I'll give each minigame a score out of 5 shovels. The only time I ever watched The Bachelor the TV show was during one of the first few seasons. My neighbors in my apartment complex didn't have a TV, but their high school classmate was on The Bachelor, so they asked if they could watch it at our apartment. Needless to say, I didn't become a super fan, but I know that The Bachelor set the tone for a lot of reality TV that followed. If you don't know the setup, it's a reality show in which a dozen or so women compete for a single bachelor's love. Each episode, the bachelor gives out roses to the contestants who are to stay. If I'm remembering correctly, I'm unwilling to watch an episode, and I'm writing this part of the intro before I've played the game. Anyway, it's pretty dumb, not at all my thing, except that I also kind of love watching bad things ironically, so I'm hoping that I'll also like playing bad things ironically. Again, I wrote that before playing the game. Poor, naive me, thinking I might like playing this trash. It was a simpler time. These are, like, honestly okay concepts for minigames if they weren't just poorly made. Speaking of playing bad things, this game! My first attempt to play The Bachelor the video game and capture the footage ended in failure. I hooked up my Elgato HD60 to my Wii U and my computer to capture the game footage. I loaded up the game, I grabbed the Wii U gamepad and a Wiimote, and I sat down at my desk. Oh wait, it's a Wii game. I need the Wii sensor bar. No problem, I'll just grab the one attached to my Wii. But when I went to unplug my sensor bar from my Wii to plug it into my Wii U, tragedy. Someone had chomped the cord right in half. My first guess was my cat, but I couldn't rule out my wife. I have seen her chewing things before. After an in-depth investigation, I sent casts of the bite marks out to the lab and determined that it was in fact my cat. Bad kitty. Now, in order to capture gameplay footage of The Bachelor the video game for your viewing pleasure, I have to play it on my Wii U since it has an HDMI output that will let me use my capture card. So while it was true that I didn't have a working sensor bar, I remembered that you can actually just use the Wii U gamepad to play Wii games right on the small screen because it's got a built-in sensor bar. Perfect. Day saved, right? No. You're wrong. You're terrible at predicting the future and don't even try. So the catch is, if you want to play on the gamepad alone with the Wiimote, no problem. You just press plus on the Wiimote and play just on the gamepad. But that turns off the HDMI output on the console, so I cannot capture the footage. If you want to play on both the gamepad and the console at the same time with the Wiimote, you have to use the Wiimote to click an on-screen button that can only be accessed with, you guessed it, a functioning sensor bar. Now I'm going to make another video later on about trying to fix the sensor bar cord and using my new soldering iron. But the other day I was meeting my brother at the Hawthorne Game Exchange, which is a very cool retro game store here in Portland, Oregon. At the time I had a total of 3 copies of Twilight Princess, 2 for the Wii, 1 for the Wii U. So I brought one of the Wii copies into Hawthorne Game Exchange to exchange it for something else. They gave me the totally fair trade-in value of 15 bucks, and my lovely wife pointed out that they had a Wii sensor bar for $12.99. So problem solved. Whew. I went home and recorded game footage that night. Finally. Now the first thing you notice when you pop the disc in is, good God, these graphics. I know, this is being played on the Wii U, which is essentially a beefed up Wii, which is essentially a beefed up GameCube, so I shouldn't expect anything at all. But this is maybe worse than nothing at all. Obviously, there are games on the Wii with much better graphics, so it's not a hardware issue, it's a shovelware issue. The main menu has a few options: single player, party mode, love test, and 3 unlabeled icons. The first unlabeled icon takes you to the Fantasy Suite, which is really just where you rewatch the cutscenes. The second icon takes you to your profiles, an astounding option that would let you play this game through multiple times if you wanted to do that for some reason. The third icon is Settings, which also contains the credits. When you choose single player, you're presented with a grid of beautiful fictional Bachelor contestants of 2 different genders. On the top, women. Just like in real life, am I right, fellas? From left to right, the pop singer, the journalist, my character in this playthrough, the stockbroker, and the med student. On the bottom, the men, just like in real life, am I right, fellas? The photographer, the movie producer, the account executive, what even is that? And the designer. What kind of designer? We'll never know. Pick a participant and play. Well, enter your name first. From there, you've got the episode selection. There's 5 seasons with 3 episodes each. Each episode consists of 4 group dates and, if you're lucky enough, a one-on-one date with the handsome bachelor or bachelorette. As a bonus, you can play the bachelorette also. Now, the progression is kind of weird. Each season ends with the bachelor or bachelorette proposing to you, after which you go on to the next season. Since you're the same character throughout the game, presumably these marriages are either not happening, getting annulled, or falling apart very quickly and ending in divorce. Because the very next season of The Bachelor, your character is back on the show and ready to find a new love. And presumably, the next season's bachelor or bachelorette has been keeping up with the show and knows that you won the last season. Surely they can't expect that you're going to give the marriage a serious commitment when you just got out of a previous marriage and you're back on the same reality show to get married again? I swear, kids these days. Anyway, it's season 1, episode 1. You're fresh as a daisy, never been on The Bachelor or The Bachelorette before. Handsome host Chris Harrison greets you and introduces you to this season's Bachelor. In order from season 1 to season 5, we've got the real-life bachelors, Jayon Mesnick. Jayon, that's an interesting name. Oh. Wait, Jason. That's a typo, Jason. Jason Mesnick, a real estate agent from Seattle. Andy Baldwin, a naval officer from Pennsylvania. Matt Grant, a financier from England. Jake Pavelka, an actor from Dallas, Texas. And Brad Womack, an entrepreneur. Then there's also the real-life bachelorettes, Deanna Pappas and Tristan Wren. There's also 3 other women that I couldn't find listed anywhere. Listen. I played The Bachelor, competing for the heart of a male contestant, so I learned who the men for each season are. I cannot play this game again all the way through to find out who all the bachelorettes are. No way. If you know who the others are, leave a comment, because I'm curious how you know that. Each episode, you've got 4 group dates, consisting of a mini-game per date, where everybody is trying to collect as many hearts as they can. More on the games later. You get hearts by winning, of course, and by catching the red or gold bonus hearts that float by while you're playing. And you want hearts, for you see, the maiden or lad who hath the most bountiful basket of beating hearts after 4 group dates shall rendezvous with the bachelor or bachelorette in the evening to, quote, keep the intimacy going on the solo date. At which, he's apparently waiting for you with a bottle of his finest. Not the finest, not their finest, like the hotel or restaurant or whatever, not our finest, like he's the maitre d' at a fine dining establishment. No, his finest. 3 possibilities. 1, he makes wine. Makes sense. Dude owns a vineyard or whatever, and it's his company. His finest. This is, of course, never mentioned. I'm just extrapolating. Option 2 is that it's some form of bodily discharge that he wants you to drink. Option 3, he has God's wine. His finest. That solo date is another minigame. But first, we get a short, awkward, poorly animated scene where we sit on a couch and stare at each other like we have nothing to say and kind of nod our heads. Yes. We are keeping the intimacy going. Or we meet the bachelor's parents, or we chill on a bench, or in front of a fire, or other such unremarkable events. Then you play the solo date minigame to determine the quality of the date. If you do well, the date goes well. However, this is still a chance for other contestants to gain hearts. They're competing against you in the minigame, but not as individuals. For the solo date, they're a team, you're solo, like the date. If the solo date minigame goes well for you, you'll get another short scene where you get to kiss the bachelor or bachelorette, or get parental approval, or some other positive thing. Romantic. If you do poorly at the minigame, you get an awkward scene where you do something stupid and the bachelor either rejects you somehow, or falls asleep, or their parents disapprove. And that's it. That's the whole solo date. Some short cut scenes in a minigame. Intimacy kept going. Speaking of minigames, in my opinionation, there are 8 terrible minigames in the Bachelor the Videogame and 1 halfway decent one. Maybe a little bit better than halfway decent, because as I was typing this, I actually kind of wanted to play it. Most of the minigames have a couple versions that play exactly the same, are just different titles, locales, and skins. For instance, the racing minigame has off-road racing, jet ski racing, and snowmobile racing. They handle exactly the same as far as I can tell. They just have different names and different visuals. They are the same game. So, the racing game. It's a simple vertical scrolling racetrack. You press A to go, you move your avatar with the Wiimote to keep your car, boat, or jet ski on the track. It's kind of difficult and it is not fun. 2 shovels. Then there's the inflation game, where you press A to move an inflation gauge needle. Keep it inside the green section of the meter for 4 seconds. Do this 9 times before everyone else and you've won. Oh boy. 1 shovel. There's a picture identifying game where a still image from The Bachelor starts out blurry and pixelated and slowly gets sharper. You have to be the first to guess what's happening in the picture and choose the correct answer from one of the 4 options. Also, not fun. The computer will guess pretty quickly but often gets it wrong. 2.5 shovels. Now I usually really like memory type games, but The Bachelor the Videogame has the worst memory type game I have ever played. There's 3 items you have to find. You see a whole grid of repeating items in different colors before you know which color you've been assigned. Then the cards flip over, hiding the items, then you're assigned a color. Now, you have to find the 3 items in your color before the other contestants find the 3 items in their color. Meh. 2 shovels. The puzzle minigame is maybe the cheapest and cheatingest. It's a simple grab the puzzle piece and put it in the right place game, but it's got these troll pieces designed to fool you. They will look like they go in a certain spot, say like the edge or an eye in a drawing or another shape. They look like they fit there perfectly, but try to drop it there. Nope, it actually goes somewhere else, not along that edge or near that eye or near that shape, and the surrounding pieces are literally just shaped to make the same pattern and doesn't make sense in the middle of the puzzle, just to f with you. In 1 shovel. Next, we've got which drink is the heaviest. This is okay, in the context of shovelware at least. This one really reminds me of an early 2000s Flash game. There's some scales on the screen with various drinks balanced or unbalanced on them. Based on which drinks weigh the scales down, you have to guess which is the heaviest. It throws you curves by having multiple bottles on one side of the scale in various combinations, so it's hard to tell which single bottle is heaviest. Whee! 3 shovels. Tracing is a difficult minigame. As the title says, you're just using the Wiimote to trace an on-screen outline. Go too far off the line and your Wiimote vibrates and you can't draw for a second. Despite this one being pretty well done, it's the most annoying because I had to hold up the Wiimote to be precise and my arm got tired. 1 shovel. The falling stuff minigame is the worst. I just call it slap clap because you're trying to slap or clap falling objects by pointing the Wiimote at them and pressing A. The control is sluggish, imprecise, and there's definitely a slight delay between the press and the slap. I hated it. 1 shovel. Now, Hexagon was by far the best minigame. There's a hexagon grid with a ball bouncing around like a DVD screensaver. You place your Wiimote hand icon somewhere on the grid and just hold down. A ring forms around your icon and starts expanding. When you let go, it takes a second before your selection is like codified and a hole opens inside the circle. You've now collected those tiles, they've been added to your score. But if the bouncing DVD screensaver ball hits your circle at any time before the process is finished, your circle goes away and you get nothing. This also reminded me of a Flash game, but in a good way. 5 shovels, baby! Now let's be clear, this is in the context of shovelware. This is not a 5-star minigame or a 5 out of 5 minigame. This is a 5 shovel minigame. Yes, it's the best possible score, but the bar is just so low. I saw that there's a lot of other reviews and Let's Plays of this game on YouTube already. I purposely did not watch any of them so as not to influence myself, but I did quickly click through some of them to see what they were like and what part of the games they covered. I was quite amused to find a lot of yelling going on during the mini-games. Glad to see people as frustrated as myself. At the end of the solo date minigame and cutscene, we get the rose ceremony where some players get roses and one of the contestants is eliminated. Presumably killed, I don't know, I haven't seen much of the show.
Good evening. Welcome to another rose ceremony. Unfortunately, one of you will be going home tonight. Good luck.
After the rose ceremony, there's another short cutscene where the bachelor puts a ring on your finger. But as I've already discussed, we know that this marriage is doomed because literally right after this, your character goes on to another season of The Bachelor. What is this world coming to? So in this game, there are 5 seasons, 3 episodes per season, that's 15 episodes. Each episode is 5 mini-games, so to beat this game, you have to play at least 75 boring mini-games with a bunch of bullshit in between. And with only 9 different mini-games, at best you're playing each game at least 8 times, more if you fail at any point. That is too many times. Mini-games! I could not complete this game in one sitting. In addition to the single-player mode we've been talking about, there's also the menu options Party Mode and Love Test. Party Mode is multiplayer. You just go through one season with however many players you have somehow convinced to play this game with you. Love Test consists of personality quiz and matchmaker. You take the personality quizzes to see who you should be matched with in Matchmaker. You can see how you would match with bachelors or bachelorettes of the opposite sex only because of heteronormativity. You can also see how you would match with other local profiles that have taken the personality quizzes on your Wii or Wii U. As far as I can tell, all of this has absolutely nothing to do with the main game, except that the quizzes are unlocked as you go. As a side note, I've been watching a lot of British YouTubers lately, and I really wanted to say, this has f*** all to do with the main game. So yeah, that's it. That's the whole game pretty much. It doesn't get any harder, or change, or have an ending, or progress, or have any redeeming value or anything worthwhile. You go through 5 seasons, get some cutscenes, take the personality quizzes if, for some strange reason, you want to prolong this experience. I actually could have ripped through all the mini games in like a half hour if there wasn't all the cutscenes and scoring and other bullshit in between. That would have been preferable. But instead, I have spent hours playing The Bachelor the video game. I played all the way through just to see if there was any payoff at the end of the game besides credits, which are already accessible in the menus. Nope, they didn't even play the credits at the end. This game, 1.5 shovels. The 0.5 is for the Hexagon game. The Bachelor the video game was made by Ludia Studios and distributed by Warner Brothers Games. Ludia is a Montreal-based studio known for producing games based on properties that all gamers know and love, such as Hell's Kitchen, American Idol, and The Price is Right. It looks like they mostly make mobile phone games now, with their most popular being dinosaur fighting game Jurassic World the Game, and Jurassic World Alive, which is a Pokemon Go-like GPS game where you collect dinosaurs, upgrade them, pit them against each other, and fight them. There's also Jurassic Park Builder, a game where it seems like you build dinosaurs and fight them. In May 2021, the game developer Jam City merged with every gamer's favorite special purpose acquisition company, DCPM Capital Inc. You know it. Apparently, DCPM is an SPAC, also called a blank check company. These are usually companies created and set up just to merge with and or acquire other companies. It seems like it's usually a way to raise the necessary funds. I don't actually know anything about these kinds of business dealings, so I may not be getting this all correct. Sue me. In September, this newly merged merger of game company Jam City and SPAC DCPM acquired Ludia, makers of the Bachelor the Videogame. Apparently, interactive entertainment did quite well in the pandemic, and it seems like there's been increased business interest in the game market. As we've been seeing, people are buying up game companies left and right, both from inside the industry and out. Today, Ludia seems to still be going under their own name, but as a Jam City company, mostly making the aforementioned mobile games. When I used my desktop PC to visit their website to see what games they were currently publishing, I was surprised to find that it's basically just one bright landing page that says, quote, "We believe that mobile is the future. Come and join us there," end quote. And you can't see anything else on their website unless you use a mobile browser, presumably. Honestly, it's too dumb a thing and too annoying a gimmick for me to even look further into it. This video is about the Bachelor the Videogame, not Ludia Games. This is just bonus information I skimmed off Wikipedia. Come on. Look, I needed to make a video, and this fit the bill. Was it worth it? Probably not. I could have just played 1 or 2 seasons and been done with it, which seems to be what most other reviews did because I couldn't find any footage of the ending or of anyone playing the final season. So I had to do it. At least now there will be documentation of the ending on YouTube, so no one else ever has to go through what I went through and play through The Bachelor the Videogame.
Congratulations to the happy couple, and best wishes for the future. I'm Chris Harrison. From everyone here at The Bachelor, good night.
Please like and subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss my next video, because if you do, it'll be the biggest regret of your life. Until next time, thanks for watching Emiliano Techs. I'm Emiliano, and I've been great. Good night.